Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Liberty City. We're doing our retrospective here. This is part three. I was hoping part three was going to be the end of it. I was thinking it was, and then realized as I was getting screenshots that there's been a heck of a lot of this game we've done. So there's actually going to be a part three and a part four. So part three here will be Algonquin on into Alderney, part of Alderney. And then part four will be Alderney mostly. Mostly Alderney with a little bit still going on in Algonquin here. We started out here at the apartment that Roman got for us with his prize money somehow or other. How the heck he was able to do it, I don't know. But we've actually got a little bit of a view out the window, don't we? We can actually see the bridge and all out there. And the city across on the other side over there into, I'm wondering, is that Broker? That might be Broker over there. Anyway, whoops, looks like nighttime just hit. So we are going to continue on in our story here in this wonderful thing. We will be covering from where we ended up with Dwayne and Playboy. Where we took out Playboy because we decided that Dwayne was just the better person and we kind of liked him better. So that's where we're going to pick up right after that mission. In fact, we were saving at the other safe house over there, which was what used to be Playboy's old loft, which used to be Dwayne's old loft. So we will continue from there, and we will see you then.
Alright folks, y'all may notice the sound quality is a little better here. It's because I actually got to go home. I'm sitting at my house for the next couple hours. That's why you may hear laundry or something going on in the background. Don't be surprised by that. I go back to work today. This is my first day back to work after 3 months of medical leave. The chemo hasn't killed me yet. And as they say, that which does not kill you makes you strong. So in 5 more months, I ought to be the toughest mother on the planet. Let's get into this now. Just a couple of things before we get started into the missions. First of all, we've started dating Kiki. She can go psycho on us if she figures out we're dating other women, but she has one of the best special abilities in the game, and that she's a lawyer. And if you can get her fondness high enough with her, you can get her to get rid of 2 and 3 star police ratings for you if you call her. Now, having chosen Dwayne over Playboy X, he now becomes our latest friend to go on bro dates with. I believe I've said how he will send a couple of gang members on backup if you call him and ask, once you get your rating with him high enough. And one more perk of having taken over Playboy's old crib is that an Easter egg is there. Claude's outfit from GTA 3 is now available to wear there. I remember I was wearing that quite a bit, I think, whenever I was playing this last. All right. Our first mission back in the story is our second random encounter with Jeff Harlingford, the man who was paranoid about his wife having an affair, and remember he had us follow her and take a photo. He calls us up on our phone and he asks us if we can meet him at an underground car park. Arriving there, we find that this nutcase has stabbed his wife to death and placed her body in the back of a ballista. Asking us to get rid of the body, we have to drive across town now to the river without getting near enough to any policemen or police cars for the body to be seen in the back of the car here. Thank you, ballista hatchbacks. A well-timed jump out the door, and now the car and the body rest in the river. Getting back to the main story, we go downtown to meet Michelle outside the United Liberty paper offices. She apologizes to us as best as she can for lying to us, and then tells us that we were just lucky that she was the agent assigned to us, as she actually liked us, and if somebody else would have been assigned to us, they would have probably taken us down too. She reveals her actual name is Karen, and then she introduces us to her boss, who will basically be known to us merely as ULP. He tells us a Russian named Oleg Minkov is a threat to the country and must be removed. Nico's task is to break into his house to find information on him. We say, okay, what if we refuse? Well, our file will be handed over to the FIB. Breaking into Oleg's apartment and finding his computer, we check his emails and find that he is meeting an associate and broker. ULP tells us to go to the location and eliminate him. Realizing that he's being followed, Oleg takes off, but Nico chases him down and removes him as a threat. Our next conversation with ULP, he says that they always use people like Nico and Karen, someone with something to lose but not much to live for. He tells Nico that if we continue to do good work, he might help us find who we are looking for. Might. We have to go and get a police car for the computer access, and then he sends us a picture. Using the computer, we scan the picture, and find the name of Adam Demiyev and his location. ULP tells us to go take him and all his associates out. And I don't mean a bro date. Once again, Special Agent Sniper Rifle proves to be a very valuable partner. When they are all dead, ULP congratulates us and tells us we are much closer to finding the man that we are looking for. We later get a call from Roman, who in a very ironic twist is telling us how he's worried about us and how much we need to see him about getting our life together. He's afraid that our obsession with chasing down our betrayer is going to lead us to a very bad end. ULP on our next meeting tells us we need to cool it down out there, that we're drawing way too much police attention to ourselves and he doesn't want us to get caught. Nico asks, are we afraid we'd leave the cops to him? And ULP says, lead them where? To who? That all they'd find is an empty office rented to a person that died back in Vietnam and a phone number that doesn't exist. Nico asks what they gave Karen in exchange for turning him in, and ULP says, we gave her life back. Nico says, what's in it for me? ULP says, we'll see. He then tells Nico that there's a Russian billionaire who's funding terrorists, Edward Borodin, and he needs removing. He tells Nico to go to the Civilization Committee, which is Liberty City's version of the United Nations, and to follow his helicopter once he takes off. Nico follows it until it lands, and then he quickly steals it and flies it to the airport. Several agents take it there, and ULP calls us and says they'll be in touch. Driving around the city, we encounter our next random encounter, and it's Hosan, the fellow sailor we were talking to in the introduction video way back at the beginning of the game. He's jumped ship as well, and now he's selling counterfeit handbags. He asks Nico if we will come and help him get some payment from someone who owes him money. On the way, he tells Nico how the immigrants are taken advantage of here by all the people who are also immigrants, it's just their grandparents happened to immigrate here sooner. Sure enough, the man refuses to pay Hosan, knocks him down, and then drives off. I think Rockstar had to purposely stage the scene to happen with the Statue of Happiness Liberty in the background. Predictably, we chase the man down and get Hosan his money back. ULP then calls and lets us know the helicopter's ready. We got to go pick it up, and it's armed with a rocket launcher. Little Jacob is riding shotgun with us on this one. ULP tells us no civilian casualties, so we have to follow the helicopter through the city until it reaches a safe location. Once it's out over the water, Nico flies closer and Jacob takes it out with the rockets. Afterwards, ULP calls to tell us a good job, and they're going to try and find the man that we are looking for. Next, we go look up Packy at his ma's house. There we also meet his sister Kate for the first time. Packy warns us that if we're thinking about dating her, that 1, she doesn't put out, which 2 is a good thing because he'd have to kill us if she did. He then tells us his brother Gerald has been given a tip from a mobster named Ray Bacino. Ray has let us know that the triads here in Liberty City are bringing in a shipment of drugs, and he's given us the opportunity to steal them as long as we kick Ray a cut up. At the docks, Nico and Packy climb the warehouse to get a good look at the boat coming in and the triads unloading the counterfeit drugs for it. We find out it just happens to be counterfeit Mollis, which is a erectile dysfunction drug. Packy and Nico decide it's worth taking, so they fight their way through the triads to the truck they just loaded and take it to a lockup. Ray then drops by to pick up Packy and takes Nico's number in case he might have some future work for him. After the mission, we get a phone call from Officer Francis McCreary, the corrupt police officer. He reveals to us that Packy is his brother and says Nico needs to be careful around his family. He says while Packy may just be a small-time hood, that if we ever meet Gerald and Derek, they're really dangerous. Nico says that if Francis is an example of the good guys in town, he'll stick with the brothers. Then we run into our next rando, Pathos the street rapper. He's out keeping it real on the streets, but he's taking a bunch of crap from the various hecklers. He takes off after them to defend his honor. He gets in over his head, so of course we have to go and bail Pathos out from his fight with his critics. Next, we happen to come across Jeff Harlingford one last time, who has now remarried and once again thinks his new wife is cheating on him. When we refuse to kill his new wife for him, he says we're just like everybody else, and he goes running off across the street to go do it himself. And there he is promptly ran over and killed by a passing Turismo. Liberty City thus becomes about 1% safer for all the women in town. Back at Packy's, Nico meets his two associates, Gordon and Michael. They have all been told by Ray that the Ancelottis have gotten a big payoff at their waste management plant, and they are rather insistent that Nico come and join them in robbing them. On the way, Packy talks about how the McCreary family used to run the town before the Italians came in. Nico tells Packy that he knows his brother Francis. Packy says, well, at least me and my other brothers aren't hypocrites like Francis is, and sells him a secret, says, Francis only became an altar boy when he was young in order to steal from the collection plate. The four of them fight their way across the yard and into the main building. We find out during this mission that Packy doesn't have the best sense of self-preservation, as we have to run it several times as he keeps running out into the middle of everybody and getting shot. They get the cash from the office as yet another competing mob arrives to try and rob the place as well. We fight our way out back through them to a boat around the back that Ray's told us about and make our getaway. The job must have improved our status in Packy's eyes a bit, as we soon get a call from him asking if we'd please ask his sister Kate out, just to get her out of the house and socialize her a little bit, because the family's starting to worry about her. Then we get a call from Ray Vicino. He's the Italian mobster who's been giving the McCrearys all the tips. He's impressed with how we've handled ourselves, and he offers us some work with him directly if we'll come and see him. We meet our next rando, Sarah, driving around late at night. She is very angry and concerned that she seems to be losing her attractiveness, and complains that guys like Nico used to be unable to keep their eyes off of her, rather than just walking past her like what we did. She asks us if we can give her a drive back to her house to pick something up, and we do. There we meet her estranged husband, and she taunts him, claiming that we are her new lover. He comes out to fight us, and Nico has to chase him off. The randos keep coming out of the woodwork, as next we meet Mel. Mel was one of the drunks in the Comrades bar that we saw several times back in our days with Vlad. He says that he's now stopped drinking, he's in rehab, and he wants to pay a guy back the money he owes him from back in the days when he was an alcoholic. Unfortunately, when we take him to meet them, they claim that he trashed their apartment and got them evicted, and that money isn't going to settle the debt. Nico, once again, has to help out with the situation. Returning to Ma's house to meet with Packy, Nico gets introduced to the other two brothers, Derek and Gerald. Nico is there to accompany Packy, Derek, and Michael, who was with us on the previous mob heist, to rob the Bank of Liberty. Jerry remains unsure about Nico and warns us if we fuck with his family, Jerry will fuck with ours. At the bank, Michael is running crowd control while the others go to blow the vault. One of the customers decides to be a hero and shoots and kills Michael before getting blown away by Packy and Derek. Luis, the protagonist from the Ballad of Gay Tony, also makes an appearance in this heist as one of the customers on the floor here. This bank robbery is also actually the opening title video sequence for the Gay Tony chapter. Having blown the vault, Nico grabs 4 big bags of cash and they fight their way out of the bank as nearly the full force of Liberty law enforcement comes crashing down on them. With wave after wave after wave attacking and then the helicopters moving in, it looks like there's no escape this time until Packy thinks, let's head into the subway. Wise choice, Packy. It saved my butt many a time and online. A protracted battle in the dark tunnels and a timely call to Kiki for her assistance, and the lads make their getaway with a cool million to split 4 ways. Later, we receive a call from Packy asking us to go check in on his brother Derek, who's apparently spending most of his time stoned in a park in Alderney. Now, this is one of the few things about GTA 4 that's kind of a off part, and that's the time compression you get into. You know, they have to do it because they got to get the story in, but it's like here, Derek is a drug addict and in the park shortly after the robbery, and we saw where Jeff earlier has already gotten remarried again and is already worried about that wife. But, you know, that's the problems you have with the storytelling. In addition, Gerald Neal calls us wanting Nico to come and see him. Packy now becomes the next addition to our bro dates list. The terror alert has been lifted, and all the bridges and the state of Alderney is now open for us to travel to. We make a trip to Drusilla's restaurant, and that allows us to meet Ray Bacino, the member of the Pecorino crime family who's been given the McCree's work. He says he'll take a chance on us from the word of Packy. A Teddy Benavidez isn't paying his debts, and we need to intimidate a friend of his into giving us his location. While the Alonzo chap at first pleads ignorance of where Teddy is, a little persuasion quickly changes his mind. We quickly find out why Ray needs help in this protracted battle down the hallways to Teddy's apartment. Does anyone in this game not have a shooting gallery full of mooks that we have to kill in order to get to them? Ooh, so many people seem to make the mistake of fleeing from us going up instead of down in these buildings. We help Teddy find the express elevator back down to the sidewalk. Taking out Kate on a date later, she makes it clear to us that we would just be going out as friends. She states she couldn't put herself through the trauma of dating a crook like her brothers, or presumably her father. Back at Drusilla's, Ray's drug addict side chick comes in to let Ray know that the diamonds are ready. Ray is using her to get the Lost Motorcycle Club to steal diamonds from Gay Tony for him. These are the diamonds we saw the people on the ship with way back in the introductory video with Hosan as well. We join up with 3 workers for the Pegorinos: Luca, Joe Tuna, and Johnny Spaz. Being legit waste management workers, we ride the truck around town collecting bags of trash that just happen to have diamonds put in them by the Lost. The Messina family has apparently been tipped off about this job, and they chase the trash truck across town with a running gunfight as we try to get back to the sanitation department. Arriving back at the depot, Lucas tells us that he and the boys are going to dig the diamonds out of the trash and return them to Ray. Heading to the park for our first mission in Alderney, Nico finds Derek strung out on a park bench. He says a former associate of his, Bucky Sligo, has gotten out of prison for armed robbery and is falsely accusing Derek of ratting him out and is blackmailing him and is threatening his family. Boosting a squad car, we use the computer to find Bucky's location. If you take the time to read the rap sheet on him while in the computer, you'll also discover that Derek is lying and he did rat him out in return for not being prosecuted. Finding Bucky at the burger shop, we hit the sirens to spook him into running outside, getting in his car, and then we chase him back to his safe house. There, we take him and all his associates out, very serendipitously with the aid of a random police officer who happened to be walking by and apparently got shot at by one of the criminals in the house. I also stopped by the Alderney safe house for the first time that Ray has so graciously provided for us with the funds from the mob. What a dump. I hope I get to shoot Ray eventually. Another random encounter from our past appears, this time Ivan Bitchkov. He's the guy we were ordered to kill by Vlad way back in the past, and once he was up on the catwalk, we decided to let him go free. He is now in Alderney working as a loan shark, but he insists on a very friendly basis with all his clients. We go with him to make a collection on a loan, and of course it turns into an ambush. Damn it, are all the crooks untrustworthy in this town? Returning to Derek, we meet him on a speedboat. This time, he's helping a Korean named Kim smuggle a boatload of counterfeit $100 bills into the country. We have to defend Kim from several waves of Albanians who show up, and then from a helicopter. Derek blames his brother Francis and says he probably let the other side know about the deal coming down. On our final mission for Derek, he tells us another old partner of his, Aiden O'Malley, is being moved across town from one prison to another to testify against Derek. Packy calls us later and says that this has to look like a prison break. If we just kill Aiden, Derek is going to be the first person the cops are going to come looking for. So we block the tunnel they're transporting him through, stop the prison van, kill off the cops, and then free the grateful Aiden. It's only when we take him to the cliffs near the beach that we tell him who we are and why we freed him. Before he dies, he tells us that just like Bucky, he was put away on Derek's testimony. He says Derek is a slimy rat and that he always will be. Back at the restaurant, Ray tells us that Luca has ripped him off. He wants Nico to go and retrieve the diamonds that he didn't turn in from him. This happens to be the last save I was able to retrieve from the hard drive crash, so everything after this mission is one of the missions that I had to replay to catch back up to where my videos are. Nico finds that Luca, Johnny, and Joe are sitting in a car discussing going to Las Venturas. When we confront them about the missing diamonds, they say, "We don't know nothing about no missing diamonds," and they're going to go tell Ray that we ripped them off. A car chase across town leads to them crashing in Middle Park. We have a gun battle leading to us shooting Luca in the bathrooms, and we get the diamonds and return them to Ray. And that is the end of part 3, and as I said, we've now caught up to the start of where we're replaying after the hard drive crash. Since I started this one in Middle Park Print House, we'll end it in the Playbox X one and cover both the Algonquin safe houses there. Next time, we'll pick up with what happened after getting Ray his diamonds back, and we will go from there through all the ones that I had to replay again, and then we'll be ready to make some new episodes. One thing I can say is that replaying through all these the missions that I had to redo, 5 or 6 years of playing GTA Online now has really improved my driving and my shooting and my flying. So they went a lot quicker than they did the first time around. We'll see you then when we get to part 4.